Here, someone says, Israel, you reap what you sow. Simple. I don't think it is simple, actually. I think hundreds of people are dead. And, I don't think it can be put down to be as simple as that, given that it's one of the most complicated and intractable conflicts in the world. Dave in Farnham Common says, if you kick a dog continuously, you shouldn't be surprised if it bites. Israel is occupied and oppressed. Palestine, says Dave. I don't think there's any excuse for taking women and children hostage. I don't think there's any excuse for some of the scenes we have seen, including in Gaza, where corpses of people who were killed were paraded through the streets. That is awful. I don't want anybody to die. I don't want any conflict happening. I don't want Israel to be killing anybody. I don't want the Palestinians to be killing anybody. I just want peace in the region, and I don't think we should be reducing this to just a few words. Carl says, Israel invaded Palestine like NATO invaded Ukraine. The West are the bad guys. Now I'm anti-Semitic. The whole truth, free speech and common sense, please. Well, you'll always get that on this station, even if we disagree. Morning, Peter. I'm appalled to see that my MP, the Sinn Féin MP, Chris Hazard, has tweeted his support for Hamas and Palestine. Leopards do not change their spots. Well, listen, thank you for that. I don't think anybody should be supporting Hamas terrorists in what they are doing. I think that's very, very distasteful of Chris Hazard. This clearly, Clare Muldoon, has a big effect on so many people, and people react often along the lines that they had thought previously and say, well, one side must entirely be wrong. I remember one Israeli analyst actually saying to me at one stage, if you entirely support Israel or you entirely support Hamas or the Palestinian side, you're part of the problem.
Well, you are, and I think we need to make the distinction between Hamas and Palestinians.
Of course.
Because I don't think all Palestinians...
No, of course.
Exactly, and they are on both sides.
Yeah.
This is a terror attack. There's no other word for it, and this is not Palestine pushing back on Israel. Of their, the Palestinian would say that they've been the oppressed and the Israelis are the oppressors. I don't think this is about that. I think there's a bigger picture going on here. Yeah. This is purely it'll be financial for the West as well. Trump's come out and said it's Biden's fault. Trump has said we need to go in and basically nuke everyone. Well, what good is that going to do, really?
Yeah.
But also then, if you look at it, I think this is stoking the West into war with Iran. And I really think that is the position.
Iran may well be behind some of the financing for Hamas.
The truth is, Peter, we just don't know.
Yeah.
And we can sit and we can prevaricate, and social media can be judge, jury and hangman, and as much as they want, and they will do, because they are. That's the nature of the beast. But the truth is, and the reality is, we don't know what's going on. I'm quite surprised that Israel was taken by surprise with this attack, given the intelligence that they have. So, I mean, I hate to say it, but, wait and see what comes out.
Yeah, absolutely. We're going to talk to CP Hoto Aveli, who is the Israeli ambassador, very soon. We're just getting her on the line. Chris in Brighton has been in touch to say, if we are to loudly condemn the deaths of Israelis at the hands of Palestinians, well, as Claire correctly points out, they're at the hands of Hamas, a terrorist organisation. I mean, it's like saying, well, it's not. I don't want to make that comparison, actually.
No, don't.
If we are to loudly condemn the deaths of Israelis at the hands of Palestinians, then why do we not do the same thing when Israel's killed Palestinians? I don't want Israel to kill anybody. I don't want them to. They feel they have to retaliate. I would rather there was no conflict in the region. I would rather everybody lived in peace and they found a two-state solution. But peace talks are just not on the table. Chris continues, as they've been doing for years in far greater number, do their lives not matter? Of course they matter. And actually, sorry, Claire, go ahead.
Just another wee point here, though. 50 years ago, when the Yom Kippur War was on, and post that, what it actually led to was a spike in oil prices. Now, if we face that again, this is going to push the West into recession.
Yeah. Well, let's hope we don't. Let's get some of those statistics. I'm just reading here that Netanyahu vowing to reduce parts of Gaza to rubble after that attack by Hamas, an ongoing hostage situation, women and children among 100 Israelis who have been kidnapped, rocket fire exchange on the Israel-Lebanon border, Hezbollah claiming responsibility for that, at least 250 Israelis dead and nearly 1,600 are injured, 313 Palestinians killed in retaliatory attacks, one British citizenship missing near Gaza. We'll get the latest on that from the ambassador when we have her. And there is video claiming to show Hamas fighters capturing and beating Israelis. There's all sorts of video on the internet. You don't know whether it's true or not, but certainly one thing that does seem to have been verified is just that horrific image of corpses of Israeli civilians being paraded through the streets of Gaza. And,
now, the other thing that's concerning me is the overspill on this, on cities like London, on countries across the world, that the sword of Islam will now come out and fight, in terms of their their comrades, their brothers, without actually realising what has actually been done. I think the futility of it is such that that is so stoked by emotion and hate, because that's what terrorism is.
Yes.
It's not based on functionality, it's not based on fact, and it's not based on anything we can actually understand.
Yes.
And I think the overspill of that, as we saw last night in Acton in London, of the Palestinian flags and everything, that there's so much more to this that needs unpacking.
Yeah,
and
that was horrendous, those pictures. Anybody celebrating anything that is going on in Israel at the moment is just horrendous.
It's abhorrent.
There's nothing to celebrate. There is absolutely nothing to celebrate. I do not celebrate the deaths of any Palestinian. I do not celebrate the death of any Israeli. I want there to be peace in the region. We're hearing at the moment as well that the Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu, Prime Minister of Israel, is holding a security assessment. He's at the headquarters of the Israeli Defence Force in Tel Aviv. The Palestinian, their calls for emergency Arab League meeting. That's going to be interesting as well, how the Arab world reacts to this, Claire.
Well, it is, because post I don't want to keep banging on about this Yom Kippur War, but post that, there was some softening in some of the Middle Eastern states with Israel, and that's now seen with the Netanyahu's confederated government that not to be a good. They didn't quite like it, because they're seen as being quite right wing. This government that Netanyahu has at the moment, so they don't kind of like the seamlessness of, and Trump actually enabled a lot of that as well, for trade between some of the softer eastern states with Israel. So it'll be interesting, really interesting to see how it'll impact. And I really don't want to use the word interesting, because I would rather we didn't need to know. I would rather this wasn't happening.